Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Things That Matter with Marty McNabb, your host. And as many of you, I'm sure, if you have been following along, you recognize that I have had a passion for the incredible stories that get attached to the things that we keep, the things we surround ourselves, the things we pick up when we're traveling or on the beach when we find a rock or a shell. All of these things, even though quote unquote they might not matter, that saying, things don't matter. And I agree to in a lot of ways. But what I've found in the over a decade of hosting 250 of these live events called Show and Tales, I have found that the thing doesn't matter, but the stories that get attached to them, they do. And needless to say, we have people who pass away and leave objects to people, or there's some special object from our grandparents or grandmothers, some are an ancestor, maybe that we didn't even know, but we've somehow found a way to know or understand the story that was attached to that thing. And that's the reason why we keep it. So welcome to this episode again, as I mentioned, and I am thrilled to have a fellow, if you've listened before, I've had a few location indie people, location independent people, or van life people, or full-time travelers or full-time RVers on this show before. And I have the great pleasure of introducing my guest, Jason, or the Jason. And of course, he goes by Jason's okay. So, and he's more than okay. And I had the pleasure of meeting him initially at a event called the World Domination Summit, which I'd spoken to you about probably on one of the first or second episodes of this, of my podcast or my YouTube show, when another participant joined me with her fancy pants that she wore the last night that we were there, all sparkly and everything. So this was a phenomenal event, the World Domination Summit in Portland. It lasted for 10 years. And unfortunately, I was only able to attend once, but that's when I met Jason. And I heard a little bit about his story. And the best part is I got a chance to see him again. And as many of you heard, I went to an event called Camp Indie in Kent, Connecticut this past June, and Jason was there. So we, needless to say, have van life in common, although he does it full time. And as I've told you, I only do it part time, but it's a pleasure to have you here, Jason, and will invite you to share the story of a thing that matters or things that matter to you, and I'll have you take it away.
Cool. Marty, it's wonderful to see you and hear your voice. Thanks for having me on the show.
My pleasure.
Yes. So yeah, I am a full-time RVer. I have been traveling for the last 5 years solo by myself. So it's kind of a challenge, but it's been a fun challenge. It's been a fun adventure. And then yeah, when I started my travels 5 years ago, I started collecting. I wanted to collect souvenirs and things like along my travels, and I started with stickers and magnets. Those are my first two things that I collected. But it was funny, I kept buying these stickers and I didn't want to put them on anything because I didn't know. I was like, man, if I attach this to my rig or something that I own, I was like, what if I don't want that thing anymore? I had more of an attachment to the sticker than I did the item I was putting it on. A lot of people put them on their mugs or their coolers outside their rig, and I was just like, I don't know. I didn't want that commitment of keeping something, but I wanted the sticker. So So that was funny. And then I kind of ran out of room. There was like nowhere to put all of these stickers and magnets. And so that's what, about a year into my travels is when I fell in love with collecting enamel pins, buttons. I was on a trip to Disney World, and that's when it started. Pin collecting and trading is a big part of kind of like that scene. A lot of people will go to the parks, collect buttons, and then they'll go back and trade them and stuff with other people in the park. And I really fell in love with like that culture of that stuff, doing the pins. And so it was at that moment when I bought my first pin at Disney World that I thought, oh, I'm going to start doing that. Now when I travel and I go to places, I love the small footprint of them. I love that you can take them off and switch them out and trade them or gift them or whatever. And so it's more of a reusable version of a sticker or magnet. So that's cool. And then
Yeah.
I travel with this collection right here. These are my pins that I've got right now. And I love, they're all shiny and pretty and they're all different places. My pins are all like either place related or like somewhere that I've been. I don't really collect pins that are like, some people collect pins that are just like have like cute little sayings or logos or something. And mine are all travel based of places that I've been or things that I've seen. So yeah, I love it.
Cool.
Yeah. And now lately, here's my latest thing that I'm loving about these. I've been to a couple of events now where there is no pin to, they just didn't make a pin to purchase. And I've been getting bummed out by that. I'm like, oh man, I really wanted a souvenir pin from this event or this place. And so now when I know that I'm going somewhere that most likely is not going to have a pin, I will design one and have them made. I'll print up 50 to 100 pins and then just gift them out to people. And it's such a cute little gift to give to somebody. Their face lights up and it's kind of cute and exciting. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That is
Yeah.
so neat. We'll have
Yeah.
to talk about that. I like that idea.
Totally.
That
Yeah.
is wonderful. And I love that. Did you make that banner that you have your pins in?
Nope. It's very cute. I found it on Etsy. It's
Ah,
very a cute little thing. So yeah, nope. I did not make that, but yeah, I love it. It's awesome.
was it
Um,
was it made for pins?
yeah,
Ah,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah. I
Very.
have a home. I have a home base. I have like a small little place in outside of Las Vegas where I've got it. It's pretty much just a little shed with an office inside of it. It's like my home office is what I call it. And so that's where I pretty much I only travel with this small number of pins, and then my big collection is back there at my home office.
Oh my goodness. Sometime we'll have to meet up because as we were talking about, I just got back from Las Vegas. So we'll
Mhm.
be back out there at some point and maybe we can plan it so that you're there and we can see all your pins.
I would love that. That would be
Yeah.
awesome.
Oh, and it's so interesting, Jason, because so someone who I met, Michael Camarillo, through Location Indie, which you're familiar with,
Yep.
obviously through Camp Indie. Michael was a member, and when I joined during the beginning of COVID, is when they opened the membership, and I joined, and I met him. And it was so interesting because he and his family, he and his wife and two kids, they were, really trying to, talking a lot about minimalism. Needless to say, Location Indie people have to be very conscious of what we uh, collect, what we keep, because we usually have smaller places than your traditional people have. So we have to think about that. But he was, I'd known him uh, probably at least 6 months or 8 months before I invited him to a virtual show and tales on Zoom. And
Mhm.
he's like, I don't really have, I really don't have any, like I just don't know what I'll bring. I don't know what. And and Jason The next thing I know, he comes with like these binders of Disney World,
Mhm.
Disneyland, Disney World, all of those. He's traveled. He lived in Germany. So there's different ones. But he has a ton of these pins, and I'm like, what are you talking about, Michael?
That's great.
You can, we can collect, even if we have a small, we have to be
Mhm.
conscious of our footprint. We also have, things that matter, that tell stories. So I just think that that's interesting how you started with, the Disney World, the idea,
Yeah,
and that
totally.
you into that. And I like what you say about the stickers as well, because I've thought about that. It's easy, you put it on a water bottle, but if you leave the water bottle behind, you lose the sticker, right?
Yeah.
So I I've thought about it too. I've had a van for 5 years. I'm like, I don't want to put it on the refrigerator, like, yeah, because
Yeah.
it wrinkle anyway. It really is. So the pins are a nice solution. So I have a question. Can you pick one or two of your favorite on I know obviously you have a whole bunch back in your home office, but
Yeah.
you pick one or two that and tell us its story or their stories.
All right, here's my oldest pin that I have. Um, it was the first big event that I ever went to. I was 18. I was living in Missouri. I was living at home still, and the year was 1999. And there was a big concert festival going on in New York, and I really wanted to go to it. My mom knew that I really wanted to go to it, so she let me go. Me and my friends jumped in my car. We road tripped across the country. It was my first big road trip, so that's kind of like where the love of the road trip started. And then I got to go to Woodstock '99, so that is
Ooh.
for that, and I love it.
Ah, oh, how fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Here's an event that I'm going to this year that does not make pins. So I made one, and this is by one of my proudest pins that I've made here. I've got it set up now to where on the back I've got my little hashtag. This is the
Oh,
back of the pin. So hashtag
yes.
Jason's okay. And so then this is a Burning Man 2023. It's like the porta potty pin. And the Burning Man, I don't know if you can see it in the video, but it's a glittery green. It sparkles gold like glitter. So that's kind of cool.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That is great. I love this idea that if one's not being made, you create your own. And then it's a way to get, it's marketing, getting
Yep.
to know other people. From the sounds of it, a lot of others are collecting the pins as well, especially people who are location indie or going to all these events. They can't, collect a lot of other things. So this is great. And I love the porta potty. That's really, that's
Yeah.
that's that's a great idea. We get very familiar with that when we're going to different, events, outdoor events, or these unusual
Yeah.
ones. So that must be coming up pretty soon.
Yeah. It's always the last week of August. So I'm headed that way right now, like in a couple weeks.
Wow. Wow. How fun. How
Yeah.
fun. Have a blast. I know you've gone before.
Yeah. Yeah. This will be my fourth time going, and that's a good time.
Wow.
Party
It
in the
just
desert.
party in the desert just seems a little too extreme for me. So
It
I've had
is.
a few people, try to talk me into it, and I'm like, no. So we'll have
You
to.
know what? Here's my thought on it. It is a little extreme, but it is kind of whatever you wanted to make it. So it can be as tame or as wild as you want it to be. And I'm a big believer in everybody should try to go one time. The most beautiful things my eyes have ever seen was at Burning Man. The art out there is amazing, jaw dropping. You every time you turn around, you'll think, what in the world is that? I've never seen that in my life. And you're just mesmerized. So even if all you did was you went out there and you stayed in your rig and you just went out and you watched the sunrise and the sunset and you looked at the art, it would be the most beautiful week you've ever had. And so I really think everybody should try to go.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, maybe I'll be convinced the next time you go. Uh,
Yes. Yes.
if that will be happening, maybe I'll be there, and maybe I'll convince Judy to go. That would
Oh,
that would be that would be wild, but we'll see if we can do that. So,
yes.
all right, wonderful. So, thank you for sharing the stories of those two, and I'm sure every single one of those
Mm.
have stories. So that's I it's interesting because you know Melissa, of course,
Love Melissa.
and our Melissa, and her mother Trudy collected buttons over her life. And
Mm.
so she was one of my guests a couple of maybe a month ago. I mean, she was, I published her episode, and she chose her buttons, of course, to talk
Mm.
about. And she so what I find fascinating, of course, is that a lot of these were political buttons, but they were also some other ones. And needless to say, one of the questions that I asked her at the end, and I'm starting to ask my guests, is to think about where would you like, or how would you like these pins to be passed down or given away, or when you're no longer here, when it's not your story is over, so to speak, but these things will still be around that can tell parts of your stories. How would you like to pass that on and leave a legacy?
Yeah, that's very interesting. I had not thought of that until I knew I was coming on here, and you told me about that question. And so I haven't had a lot of time to think about it, but um I think I have a lot of dear friends that are very close to me, almost family. But then on my family side, I've got a brother and a sister, and I've got five. I'm a five-time uncle.
Oh,
Um, and so, oh, and actually another one on the way. So eventually I'll be a six-time uncle.
okay.
So I think it would be kind of cool to gift the pins to my nieces and nephews, and then instruct them to, if any of my friends come and tell you a story about my travels, maybe some of my friends were with me when I got some of these pins. If any friends come, share the stories between my friends and my family. And then if any of my friends want a pin, if they're connected, if they were with me when I got that pin or whatever, gift that pin to my friend. But I think that would be kind of cool.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I love that idea. And
Mm-hmm.
knowing a little bit and recording the stories, so that your nieces and nephews, is it all nieces, did you say? No.
No, Nita, two. I've got two nephews and soon to be four nieces. Oh, I'm
Wow.
sorry. I'm sorry. Three nieces and then three nephews.
Oh, wow.
I'm getting mixed up.
Yes. That's a lot. Well,
Yeah.
congratulations on being soon to
No.
be a six-time uncle, and I just encourage, because we here as legacy artists and personal historians, I often hear people say, "Oh, I don't want those. My kids don't want those things. My family won't want my things." And generally speaking, I think that that's true unless they know the stories, and because it's the stories that they really want. So I am glad if I encourage you to consider sharing the stories of these with your nieces and nephews as you have time with them, spend time with them, so that they'll not just see a, a pin, they'll know the story and why it was important to you. So I
Awesome.
do that. So, so please let my listeners and watchers know how they can find out more about you and what you're up to and all of that kind of stuff.
Cool. Yeah. Besides the normal social media, I've got a website that I kind of keep up at somewhat frequently. It's called jasonsbigadventure.com. So if you go on there, I have an email newsletter that I send out once a month, usually on the first day of the month. I send it out letting everybody know where I've been, what I've done that last month, and then where I'm kind of headed to next. And then on there, you can find all the links to my whatever social media is happening at the time, or whatever I'm using. It's all on there. So I kind of funnel everybody. jasonsbigadventure.com.
I love that.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that. Yes. Yes. So, because you have quite the adventure, because I don't think that I mean, we've touched upon it, but I don't think you've um like shared like completely sort of your like bio. Like realistically, you've been a full-timer. Like, can you say a little bit about your big adventures, and why you named it that and all of that too, which I think is
Yeah,
funny.
yeah, totally. You know what? There was when I was a kiddo, there was a movie called Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and the movie plot was somebody had stolen his bicycle, and he went on a cross-country road trip looking for his bicycle. And so I just loved that. As a kid, I loved the adventure of the story and him traveling around and seeing him in different places. And so I think I just carried that forward and kind of copied that. And so I love that name. And then yeah, I kind of travel around. And then when I first had this idea of doing this back in 2018, my mom was not a big fan of it. She was very worried about me. She thought I was gonna be, in danger a lot,
Mhm.
and she did not like the idea of me doing this. And so
Yeah.
I assured her, I said, "I'll call you all the time. I'll be in touch." And she knew that she didn't know if that was going to be true or not, and I kind of didn't know if it was going to be true. I'm not the best at staying in constant contact with my family, but I brainstormed it one night, but right before I left and I hit the road, I thought of this funny, cute little sign to put on the back of my van, and it says, "My mom is worried. She never knows where I am. Hashtag Jason's okay for her." And so as I'm driving down the road now, people will take photos of my van and then do that hashtag. And I've got her phone set up to alert her. So that way, every time somebody does that, she sees that I'm alive and well and traveling down the road. So,
Oh, oh, I
yeah.
love that. Oh my God, that is so adorable. That is so adorable. Yes, I know lots of parents have not been are not in the beginning. They're a little concerned. Same with mine, but 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 I like how you knew that you weren't maybe as good as calling. So how can you have other people help you out and keep your mom feeling like everything's okay? That was brilliant.
Thanks.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me today and sharing the stories of your souvenirs, Jason. And it really it was wonderful meeting you in Portland at the World Domination Summit, and even better to hang out a bit more at Camp Indie, and then just getting online and zooming with you before so we could
Yeah.
hang out, because there was so much going on, so many things happening at Camp Indie that it was hard to keep up with everybody. But
Will I see you at Camp Indie next year?
I absolutely, I already bought my tickets.
Same. Cool.
And for duty as well. So
This year I'm gonna have my van up there. Last year I flew in for it. This year I'm gonna drive up. So
awesome.
yeah, I think
Yes.
I'm gonna try to do maybe a little van pop-up event at Camp Indy. So talking about van life and stuff. And then I think I'm gonna camp. I'll be maybe passing through your neighborhood. Maybe I'll see you up there.
I would love that because I will have Brooklyn with me. And like I did this year, but I didn't, stay in here. But I would love to talk about some, combined pop-up
Yep.
things as you're traveling on the East Coast. So we have plenty of time to figure that all out. So 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 thank you everyone for joining us today for this episode of Things That Matter with Marty McNabb. So, as many of you imagine, or at this point, that I also host live, virtual, and in person events all around the stories of the things that matter. So, if you would like to check it out, come to one of my virtual show and tales. I usually have one a month. And I also, if you would like to think about how what you surround yourself with and the stories that they tell, I have what I call a play sheet instead of a worksheet, and it's called Your Life in 30 Things. So it's like your 30 thing memoir. What do you surround yourself? Why is it important? And what stories can they tell? And obviously, to also think about when you're not here, what do you want to happen with these things? And especially with the stories. So I will put all of this, including Jason's information, in the show notes as well. And lastly, if you're looking to build deeper connections, community, and legacy, reach out to me so that I can host a show and tell for your family, for your team, your volunteers, the residents of your homes, your senior living communities. I am available and I travel a bit, as everyone knows, and I would love to do a special Things That Matter, aka show and tales for you. So thank you again, Jason. It's always a pleasure to hang out with you, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you so much, Marty.
Have a great day, everyone.